Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to talk about Apple's new headset, Vision Pro.
Vision Pro, dude.
Why do we care about the Vision Pro, I-Man?
Why do we care? I mean, we're definitely not like a VR channel, are we? We've never really talked about VR products in the past.
No, sir.
We are mostly focused on crypto and stuff like that, AI.
Yeah.
But we're also, if you see our little 60-second little ads or however long it is, it talks about, we don't just do YouTube.
Yeah.
If you've seen those in the past, you're aware that we have a metaverse startup company called MetaZone.
That's right.
Right? So we've been actively building for 4 or so years in this now space that used to be called the metaverse that nobody dares utter those words ever again.
Apple did not dare.
Yeah. So yeah.
Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse. Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game Rovi.ai. Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. All right, back to the video.
We were looking forward to this event. Like, we've been hyped about it for, I'd say, like a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we literally couldn't stop speculating and talking about what the fuck are they going to drop.
Yeah, I asked you whether you take the over or under on one mention of the metaverse.
I had to think about it. You right away were like,
it's 0, under.
But I was like, hold on, let me think for a minute. Just because of my own bias, it's like, dude, just say it.
Yeah, yeah.
But the case of like, you can't do it. Just like a big company can't say NFT anymore. Like, it's a big no-no because they have to, appease the zeitgeist, the public sentiment for these things. They're trying to sell a product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You don't sell something by throwing in their face the thing that they hate the most.
Yeah.
Because of their understanding is like so, it's navigated by forces beyond their own like awareness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but that's kind of like how a lot of humanity's like sentiment exists, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's manipulated.
So Apple will never say metaverse. They'll never say AI. They'll never say blockchain, but they would integrate with all three of them.
The blockchain one is a little based on what's going on with all this SEC stuff. Well, who knows? There's going to be way more regulatory barriers to ever expecting American
trust
companies.
Me, Apple will support blockchain. It's just going to be on the phone. It's going to generate the private keys to Bitcoin, and then you can have an entire wallet experience on your phone. It will happen. It's just it won't happen yet for a while.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to that idea, but as far as the other stuff, yeah, like they always they want to incorporate these other things that are deemed, I guess, dirty words, but without saying it. Right.
All right, so check out the video here. So this guy's putting on a headset, and almost nothing happens except he's got a UI interface that looks very similar to an iPhone popping up in his face.
Yeah.
In this spatial computing environment.
Okay.
Now the space around you becomes a computational layer for you to interact with your applications.
Correct. As opposed to the only things within our human physical experiences that have that functionality enabled are within these glass panels.
Yeah.
Wherever they may be, there's one right there.
Yeah.
There's one in my pocket.
Yeah.
There's obviously one right in front of me. I wish they were like embedded into the walls and the roof and stuff, but that's obviously not feasible, I guess. I don't know.
Until this thing.
You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to live in a glass house in order to have like infinite interactability, right? Now you just slap this thing over your eyeballs.
Yeah.
And you've now enabled your entire surroundings as functionality. Like you brought functionality to every little metric cube of space in your dimension.
Yeah. Yeah. From a hardware perspective, I'm actually pretty impressed. It's probably not the best looking headset out there. I mean, none of them really are, but it has the highest resolution per eyeball that any headset exists out there.
Yeah.
It has a display on top of it in the front so that you can see my eyeballs when I'm wearing it.
Yeah. Plus it has like a little scanning thing where you have to like, when you first get this device, you're going to have to scan your whole face or body, whatever it ends up being. So
same way you scan for Face ID.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. Now, instead of for Face ID for security, you're scanning your entire like photo image of your entire 3D self, or for your face. At least.
That way they could generate like a replica of yourself whenever people phone into you or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't just like extend your headset out so they can actually see you.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just render like an artificial version of you that, so that people could still interact while you're locked in,
Yeah,
wired in.
This thing has 12 cameras. It has an M2 chip, which is
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it was an impressive product display, showcase, whatever. I mean, they did all the right things, right? They partnered with Disney.
Yeah, they did.
That's a slam dunk partnership. Like everybody in the world understands the freaking value of that.
Yeah.
They create all the beautiful 3D CGI renderings to kind of like represent what's possible. They even like the narrative was like, what if?
Yeah.
They kept saying what if like nonstop. It's like it basically means like this shit doesn't exist yet, but at some point it might.
Yeah.
So buy my device in case it does. Like what if?
Yeah, and they talked about the new interface. So when they started Apple, they invented the mouse. And then after that, with iPhone, they invented the multi-touch. And now they're inventing this spatial interaction where you basically look with your eye where you want to click.
That was pretty cool.
And then with like a click of your two fingers, you're accessing that link, or you're opening up a document or whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge efficiency improvement as far as like how you're going to interface with things in your spatial environment, as opposed to just always having to like navigate with your hands or some kind of like wand.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. It's like you look at, if you want to make the screen bigger, you look at the corner and then you just kind of like drag it.
Yeah, it's very intuitive. Like if I were able to do that, like with this thing, it's kind of like I'm looking at the corner, top left corner.
Yeah,
and I'm reaching for it.
Yeah,
it's like I would just.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's big now.
Yeah.
It's how you would expect it to work if physical nature was that configurable,
right?
Or, elastic, but it's not. Which is So I guess those are the main features that hyped you up, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you watch movies and stuff, and
overall, it looks pretty slick. I mean,
yeah.
It looks cool, but it's definitely chunkier than I was expecting.
I feel like it's probably more comfortable than the other ones, just because the battery's not embedded into the device. It's like on a hip, like tethered to your hip.
So you think that's gonna have a huge impact on like the weight?
Oh, 100%.
I didn't think about that actually, because that's one of the big friction points. It's not comfortable to have this thing on your face.
However, it is aluminum, so I mean, it is gonna have some weight to it, but
right. And it's like you said, the specs of this thing, it's basically like a high powered computer, like just right here.
Yeah, super high powered computer.
And then like the cooling system is obviously like state of the art, because you can't just have like heat on your fucking eyeballs all day. Like no one's gonna buy this thing if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
And they had 5,000 patents.
5,000
to build this thing and bring it to market.
So what does this tell us? Apple is making a heavy investment in virtual computing.
Spatial computing.
Spatial
virtual. So they're entering a new arena, a new space, and that's why we were so excited about it, because this is our space.
Yeah,
and we were whenever Facebook pivoted to Meta, we weren't expecting that at all. I mean, we knew they were dabbling with the Oculus and stuff, but we didn't know it was going to be like a company focus.
Yeah, we didn't know they was going to change their name from Facebook. I mean, it was an iconic name to something like Meta.
So that had a tremendous impact on the market, obviously, right? Like all the metaverse native projects in Web3, like a Decentraland, a Sandbox, and others, they experienced, a tremendous growth in awareness and appreciation in the market. Like around the time of the announcement, Mana was probably trading for like 2-3 cents.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the hype, it was up to $5.
Yeah.
So those are one of those rare 100x plus moments. Like it's hard to capture those.
Yeah.
But the industry's only getting stronger, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, we got the biggest player like in spatial computing now making digital interfaces that are completely brand new.
Yeah.
But this isn't to say that this is like this is going to be like an iPhone moment, like in terms of new hardware. Just because right now it's just your existing apps that you interface with your phone and your iPad, but like in hologram form in front of you.
Yeah.
So, and there's like new capabilities. Like I can send you a 3D model like via text messages, and then in this hologram, I can take that 3D model and put it on my table.
Yeah.
So which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
so it runs like GLBs natively.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Of course. I think a lot about what this is very cool. That's the one thing I was sitting there contemplating as they were presenting this thing. Is like, dude, this is just the idea that humanity has gotten to this point, like that we've built the technology, I guess, that to enable us to literally traverse to a whole different like dimension experience. Like this is So it's like unlike anything you've ever seen in tech.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's meeting like one of the biggest like resistances, the most friction, like most technologies, has had to dealt with.
Yeah, it's because you're putting screens on your eyeballs now. It's uncomfortable. There was never anything uncomfortable about a phone or an iPad,
right?
Or
But don't you think that like the majesticness, or I don't know, the magic of being able to experience things like this and is enough to kind of like, I don't know, comfort.
It would need to enable
Discomfort yourself for a bit.
I think it need to enable something so fundamentally needed and useful.
Right. I think I was in your camp a little bit before this, Will, but I think I kind of disagree, dude. I think there was a lot of pullback of whenever the cell phones first came out. Like, I'm not carrying a cell phone around with me all day. What do I need to carry it around for?
You talking about like the real first cell phones?
Yeah, the first ones, not the first iPhone, but
okay.
Yeah, those huge bricks. Yeah, nobody wanted to carry those. But if you did carry those, you were a very important person, and you needed real-time access to people.
Yeah.
And you don't think that could apply here?
Imagine you're in the airplane, you see the guy next to you like don one of these.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I'd be jelly.
Well,
100% I'd be jealous.
I don't think one thing we haven't talked about is the price, right?
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, considering the price,
It's definitely not consumer friendly.
We're in like flex territory with a price like this. Basically, $3,500 starting. Who the fuck knows how high that can get? Like with an optimized, ultra spec'd out version, maybe
but
$6,000 or
Let's
something.
contextualize this though, because this is an M2 processor, which is extremely fast.
Yeah,
and M2 processors are in like laptops,
mm-hmm.
and they can do 4K screens. I mean, they're good, right?
Yeah.
But now it's on your face.
Yeah.
And so this thing is pretty powerful. So you're basically buying a laptop you stick to your face.
Right.
There's a lot of potential there.
Right. And what that does, as far as just the way you just described it, doesn't sound like a ideal thing to do. You know what I mean? This on my face doesn't sound like a good time. You know what I mean?
It could be.
That's my point. But the output of making that, I guess, like physical sacrifice, like I know it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's not gonna feel good.
Yeah.
But I know if I do it, it's got to be almost like to the scale. I think what you're kind of talking about is like AI is obviously useful.
Yeah.
It's going to enhance a lot about what makes me a productive, a quality human being in my existence, right?
Yeah.
But as far as like, should I slap this on?
Yeah.
And all of a
How do
sudden
you improve your production?
Well, I mean, apparently, I guess by expanding your interface potential, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things is now we've unlocked this new like frontier.
Yeah.
And now it's going to be up to the developers, I
Sure.
think, to convince us.
Yes.
Like, there is value in infinite interfacing, right?
Yeah.
And let me show you why.
Yeah.
Because I've built and I've developed this whole new protocol or system, UI, experience, whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to
because-
enhance your everything.
And they definitely did not market this as a gaming device, right? Like, this is definitely a productivity device
It
for
is.
them.
Just by the design itself, because it has a lot of like clothy-like fabrics around the head part. So if it's a gaming device, you're gonna sweat, and that's gonna get all stinky and mucky. No thanks.
Yeah.
This is more like you just slap it on,
Do some work.
do some work. Call up your colleagues or your friends and family, and it's like, hey, you guys want to like jump into this forest real quick?
Yeah.
This forest environment. It's like, yeah, why not? I got nothing to do. Let's go in there.
Yeah. They
Stuff like that.
didn't show anything about two of these headsets like talking to each other. Like, and what would that look like and what you could do? You could be in a 3D environment, but they didn't really show that.
You mean like if you had one and I had one, like in this right now?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? What would you expect that to look like? It looks like, because
Yeah, there's
Like,
no...
could you interact with other people's stuff?
like
yeah,
outside.
Could
Avatar.
you see their...
Yeah, that's a good question.
And then also, like multi-party interactions on apps, like they didn't show that either.
Well, again, I think it's a new layer that's been unlocked. I don't think they could possibly
Show everything.
show everything, and like it's not up to Apple to create all this stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Just
Agreed.
like for MetaZone, like we built a platform, we unlocked the potential for developers to come and build these digital apps.
100%.
Just like, and it happened in our case, we unlocked that potential, and what now exists in the Web3 metaverse, which is Decentraland.
Oh, 100%. This is exactly like what happened with the first iPhone. There's like, hey, here's this slab of technology.
Yep.
You guys, we're opening this up for developers. You guys come up with any apps that you want.
Yeah.
And we came up with Uber and Airbnb and like all these like things that made sense on the phone rather than like anything else.
It's a great fucking point. Yeah. I'm pretty sure like, things like Uber were not quantifiably like predictable in those times of like, those inception moments, right? That's where we're at. We're like an inception.
Yeah. So this is a new development platform for developers.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. We're seeing people like on Twitter
100%.
like identify that like as a negative. Is like, dude, like,
yeah, it'll make more sense once developers have access to this and they create cool apps.
Yep.
But to a large extent, it doesn't make sense to like jump in right now for $3,500 and like do Excel as a hologram.
Yeah, not yet. Not until like that Excel has like 20 like VR like AI integrated like assistants like with you, also like manipulating your spreadsheets and like pulling in like data in real time and like slapping it on there just because it knows exactly when it needs to be added to your spreadsheet. Shit like this.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. It's like, I want that. I want to be in that Excel verse or whatever they end up calling it,
So you're basically chatting with your parents, right? And you're putting your clothes away, or you're going on a plane trip.
Yeah.
And then you're FaceTiming with somebody. Like, I feel like this isn't an ideal use case of the headset either. But there we are. Like, you're interfacing with people.
Well, I mean, this is just marketing, dude. It's just they got to make this thing look more human. That's why it's like, oh yeah, she's talking to her grandparents and stuff. It's like, yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
I can see myself doing that, but because in reality, this is a big shift, dude. This is a big one.
Yeah,
this is probably one of the bigger shifts humanity has experienced.
Oh yeah, they pulled all the stops too because they showed Tim Cook. He was like on a virtual stage, and then he pulled a Steve Jobs. He was like, we got one more thing.
Yeah,
and then here it was.
Yeah. So this is big. So main takeaways. I mean, Apple's been building this for years, many, many years, right?
Yeah.
So they're making a big bet. They're now they've entered the metaverse industry, even though they will never say that.
Yeah. They're definitely in the metaverse.
They're in. And this is going to signal every other tech company in the world, like they better start contributing as well.
Yeah.
Or they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Right? So this is like a nascent industry, and it's not obvious yet because a lot of the real true value hasn't been developed yet by the real developers who are going to leverage it. But once it is, then it's going to become like the internet, right? It took a while for the internet to catch on to the masses because devs had to build the value of the internet, right?
Dude, think about this. Apps leap into life, right? So what if you were an app developer and your interface was no longer just in 2D? Mm-hmm. Like, what would your apps look like? Like, how would you reimagine Excel to be like a 3D functional application? Like that, I think that's the new challenge that developers have is like, how do I make my apps 3D capable?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
it sounds a lot like their marketing. They did the what if.
Yeah.
Well, then they did a good job then with their marketing, the narrative of that presentation. It's like you're trying to plant those seeds of inspiration into these developers, these creators, right? Like, yeah, start imagining, start dreaming. It's like, yeah, what can I do? I'm so fucking cool and talented and useful because I know how to program. I know how to do 3D shit.
Yeah.
What if I actually leverage these platforms to build some stuff? Like, what could I do? What could I actually create? How am I going to improve other people's lives?
I feel like that's pretty exciting. It's a 3-dimensional application now instead of a 2-dimensional application.
It's literally a whole new dimension. It's a new frontier. The metaverse is as exciting as space in a sense. Like nobody knows what
is out there.
What's going to come from exploring space, right?
Yeah.
But we know there's going to be value in doing so.
Yeah.
It's we have to do it for one. So exploring this whole new digital virtual environments and the virtual universe, essentially, who knows what's going to come of it. But we know for a fact the only way to actually find that value is somebody has to build it.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get the devs really interested in this. Be like, man, I could be God.
Yeah.
I can have godlike, abilities here.
Yeah, I can see something like these 3D like marketplaces where they just sell the 3D objects. Like you're scrolling through them, and then you just like see them on your table, and like you can
Fuck yeah.
look at them.
Yeah, just like hold them
Like that's a very simple
for whatever reason.
kind of like 3D application of a 2D
Yeah.
web app.
Absolutely. So yeah, grand takeaways here. It was I mean, I don't know. It's great showcase.
Great hardware, the best hardware.
The best on the market. A little too expensive. It's going to price out like the majority of people on this planet,
Everybody.
without a doubt.
Nobody
Very
can afford a $3,500 laptop. You're not going to afford a $3,500 like screen on your face.
Yeah, so this is basically like directed towards pioneers who want to, I guess, build the first value layer, which are going to be the applications, right?
Yes.
So we'll see how that goes, but overall, I think this is still bullish for the metaverse industry. So yeah, there is a whole Web3 metaverse sector.
Yeah, except that the metaverse Web3 sector is
It's looking kind of gloomy at the moment, but
yeah, and that's because of not Apple.
yeah,
Not Apple getting to the metaverse is because the SEC is cracking down on.
Correct. Don't get confused by all these like straight down lines. This isn't in reaction to the event. It's literally like an hour before, like the SEC sued Binance.
What a rainy parade!
What if that was like intentional? I don't know. It was like maybe like the SEC.
I don't know.
United States doesn't like the
I wouldn't put
metaverse.
it past them to be intentional. I think it might have been.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, anyways, but yeah, like this is still ultimately ultra bullish. In Apple committing this much to the metaverse space is only strengthening the thesis of Meta being in the metaverse space.
Yes,
which is what drove Mana and all these projects, to be top 100.
Yeah,
top 50, whatever.
Yeah.
So I expect that to continue down the line. Once more developers start to unlock this value and people start to slowly one by one, they'll understand.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to try this headset. I'm impressed with the hardware. I want to see how much of my spatial view gets like blocked by the goggles and stuff, and I want to see what this 3D computational environment is going to look like.
Yeah, same.
All right, let us know if you have your own opinions. Make sure you put your comments down below. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at Rovi AI, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.